Yeah! What up? Wild Thing! I love Major League, man. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
One of the best baseball movies of all time, for sure.
Second one kind of stunk a little bit. They got a little crazy. Yeah, or maybe a lot.
What about the third one? Back to the Minors.
Back to the Minors?
That's probably one of the lowest budget movies ever.
And Serrano got all soft and everything. The first one was hardcore, you know? It was like a hardcore flick. You know, like a funny, dirty movie, and then they got all soft and satirical.
And you know what was great about the first one is Harris with slicking up the balls, because you know if you're not cheating, you're not trying, sort of thing. And speaking about cheating,
Crisco, Barrow, and you want to get a 2 to 3 inch drop on your curveball.
Exactly. And in the context of a movie, it's pretty funny. In reality, though, we've obviously, for the last, I don't know what, 5, 6, 7 years, been having this major issue, Major League Baseball, and you can take it from there, my man.
We have been having a serious issue. I want to read you something real quick. It's basically the synopsis of what's been going on with Braun. You all know that he won his appeal, the first Major League player ever to win their appeal. He was, you know, tested positive for PEDs of some sort. We don't know exactly what it was, but the bottom line is that on October 1st of last year, he was given a drug test, and normally what happens is that the person who constitutes the drug test, they'll bring in a delivery, and it's usually done like right away. You know, they bring it, it's not supposed to take any more than apparently an hour to get it to like a nice, cool, dry zone, which is what this guy did, but he kept the cool, dry zone in his house. He never sent the package to FedEx, which it was in this case, which is okay to mention, and 44 hours passed from the time that Ryan Braun had taken the test to the point where it was actually given to the company to go ahead and see if it was positive or negative. According to that, it can be compromised, the urine sample, obviously. You know, the testosterone levels can, you know, fluctuate up or down according to scientists and people who know a lot more about that stuff than I do. Now, Braun went ahead and said that he offered to take a DNA test, and there are conflicting reports out there that say Braun's team denied to take the DNA test, and that Major League Baseball was actually the one to offer it. Now, it's kind of tough because either way you really slice it, the test came out positive. So it's not like it was more of a chain of command sort of thing other than, oh, it could be a negative test. I mean, the test was positive. So the way that people are looking at it is what they're saying, okay, the test was positive no matter what. Who cares if the time elapsed? This guy got away with one.
Well, additionally, though, just in terms of the details, in normal circumstances, the only two people who ever really know who's tested is the guy taking the test and the player themselves. In this guy's case, in that 44-hour period, there were 20 or 30 FedEx sites within a 5-mile radius that at any point in those 44 hours, this thing could have been dropped off, but instead sat in this guy's home on a counter where his son additionally had exposure to it.
That's right. Something fishy's wrong. Something's wrong right there off the bat.
So no one knows. Not that, I mean, who knows who this guy is and who his son is, and if he had any reason to tamper with it. But
that's fair to say. Could there be a conspiracy? Is that why there was a 44-hour layover? Was there something done, or did they know that there was a positive test there? Right. So they said, you know what? Let's keep it around here for a little while, so we have that evidence later on to appeal it, and they won. You know, normally, his testosterone level tested almost 3 times as high as normal. I mean, I don't know science or anything, but is that possible just because it's sitting down someplace that the testosterone level would go up that high? I mean, it was such a great increase. But then if you've seen, you know, his conference and everything like that, he said he weighed the same, he never got any stronger, he never got any faster, and it's well documented, and the Brewers have everything. So he's saying, hey, look, test me, do whatever you want, but it's like what's done is done.
No, it's true. And what I would say about Braun in particular, in terms of the testosterone levels, and we're no scientists, obviously, so we don't know much all about that. But I know this. That test was taken, I think it said on October 1st.
October 1st.
I think after a 1 o'clock p.m. Playoff game.
Right.
In a playoff game, your testosterone levels are going to be higher by the general nature.
That's interesting.
So I don't know how much that plays into the test figures, meaning like how much more testosterone do you generate when your adrenaline is pumping and the stakes are higher.
That's a very fair statement, no doubt.
And so, did he get away with one? I don't know. And I'll say this: when I first heard the news of this, you know, who knows how long ago this originally came to light, I was heartbroken, man.
Yeah, it's a tough one to swallow. MVP of the league.
But we've also reached a point where you think most of it's been weeded out, and there are a few guys out there, and I don't want to drag guys into the mess, but a guy like Pujols and a guy like Braun, and a guy maybe like Longoria. These guys are the future. Well, not so much Pujols, but they're the future of this game, and they are bright, shining stars. And to think after all the mess we just got out of, that these guys can be implicated in that, you think they would know better. And going back to what Braun said about his weight and all that stuff, Braun's numbers and his weight and all that stuff, his body type has never really changed. Yeah. What I know for sure...
I don't look at it like he's a huge guy. I don't sit there and be like, oh, that's a monster.
No, not at all. And you know what I know for sure is his head didn't grow 12 sizes.
That's right. After turning 26 or whatever, like a certain Barry Bonds did. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I have a cough.
Yeah, he's talking about U.S. savings bonds. But
you're right. That's the thing. It's been going on for so long, and you would hope and you thought that maybe we cleaned up a lot of it already. And while the positive tests have declined somewhat, when it comes out and it comes back full circle, now you got your MVP, who the guy you thought was clean. Maybe he is clean. We don't know. Again, the answer, we're not sure. That's a great point you made with the testosterone levels being higher when your adrenaline is pumping. It's a great point. Very interesting. I like that. So, we don't know for sure, but when it happens to a guy who won the MVP last year, and when it happens to somebody who you think is the greatest right-handed hitter of all time in Manny Ramirez, and he makes just a complete Travis Sham mockery out of himself, it's awful. These are guys that, you root for growing up. Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, your favorite players, and you find out they're cheaters. Alex Rodriguez. What about a guy, the thing is, but here's the thing I want to counter it with. Now, when they test you positive for PEDs, it doesn't always mean steroids. It doesn't always mean it's something to make you bigger, stronger, faster. It could be something to make you heal quicker, like Andy Pettitte. Right. So we know Andy Pettitte didn't get bigger, stronger, faster and everything, but he was able to heal from injuries and keep himself healthy longer, okay, to keep him going. Maybe that's what Braun took. Maybe he had some injury he was dealing with, and he took something. I don't know. It's pretty clear that he didn't get physically bigger or anything, in my opinion.
It's also pretty clear that he adamantly denies having whatever substance he was positive for is, like you're saying, possibly the healing. Whatever positive test he had, whatever that substance was, if it's testosterone or something that generates testosterone, whatever the case is, he's denying that even got into his system.
Right.
So something is obviously clearly a disconnect there.
Big time.
And,
you're going to have people crying wolf right now. Commissioner Selig is the owner of the Milwaukee Brewers. Again, Braun won the MVP last year.
That's a good point.
It's weird. And again, he's the first one to ever win it. And I don't think it's a racial thing. I don't want to bring, white or black into this. I don't think the fact that he's, a white MVP playing in Milwaukee has anything to do with it, because the first guy I think I caught, Jason Grimsley, a pitcher, was a white guy. So I don't think, I hope the racial factor doesn't play into it. I don't think that has a part, but it could. It's possible. Things can get brought up.
And it's also just a shame we're even discussing this at this point. I mean, this has been going on for years and years and years, and, when everyone said, McGwire and Sosa saved the game in '98 after the strike from a few years before, you just think that we get to a point where these people will be smart enough to know that there's random testing. It's agreed to in the collective bargaining agreement, and look, like we were joking before about Harris in Major League, that if you're not cheating, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Look, as it comes to Major League Baseball, there's no cheating, man. It's got to be an even playing field, one way or another. Maybe you take your 5-hour energy. I'm pretty sure that's legal to do that or something like that. But as far as chemically changing the context of your body for performing better. What do you gain? Who are you cheating?
Well, they're cheating themselves, but they're gaining money. And, for a lot of people, that's what it's about at the end of the day. You know what, I want to get paid right now, and I'm going to get paid if I juice up for a couple of years, and I'll get my contract, and then whatever happens after that happens.
And again, like you said, Jason Grimsley, of all people, I'm sure he didn't get paid. As a Major League Baseball player, you get paid well. But a guy like Jason Grimsley, he never got paid a significant amount of money.
Maybe that's what he was after, though.
In his case, yeah. When you're talking about Ryan Braun, or Mark McGwire, or Sammy Sosa, or this guy Bonds, who you ever hear of him? Or Clemens. These guys had made millions and millions and millions at the point where this all came to light. So unless it's just blatant greed, which is a whole nother aspect of this, you would think they would know better.
It's hard to put yourself in those shoes, obviously, because we're not there, we're not in the clubhouse, we don't see how many guys are or aren't doing it, how easily it's being passed around, and what forms it comes in now, and how easily you can hide certain things with all the science, technology. These doctors are so smart; they can block so many different kinds of PEDs, and maybe some of these guys think they took something that was blockable, but it turns out it wasn't. It's tough. You get very rarely you don't hear these real feel-good stories a lot. It's just unfortunate. One guy who was a feel-good story for a little bit, your boy Buster Posey, he's going to be feeling a little bit healthier this year. Mostly in part because of his manager, if he does listen to him. Why don't you tell him why?
Well, as everyone knows, he was part of a serious collision at the plate last year.
A very fair collision, totally legal.
Totally legal.
Nothing wrong with it.
Unfortunately, if I remember the play correctly, he got hit high, and the issue was his ankle broke because it was caught underneath, which is circumstantial. It just happened, people.
Things happen.
It just happened in the game of baseball, which everyone likes to make fun of. It's not football or it's not hockey in terms of the physicality. From the catcher standpoint, and a guy coming to the plate, and those runs mean everything. When you have a lockdown pitcher, it's part of the game. And the fact that some people would want to take that out of the game, just like the concussion stuff, which we understand obviously in football and changing all the rules for the benefit of health. We understand all that, but as athletes, everyone knows that the injuries are part of the game. Buster Posey knows that his injury was part of a game.
Right.
It was part of a play. And now Bruce Bochy has given him instruction to not block the plate.
Well,
where have we reached?
How about this? See, he's, if not their best hitter, one of their top 2 hitters probably. All right, he's probably their best hitter.
Yeah.
He plays a rough position. He plays catcher.
Mm-hmm.
He was a loss last year. The Giants really could have used him at the end of the year to score a few more runs. They didn't go to the World Series, back to back, and they very well could have. They ended up falling out at the end of the year and not even going to the playoffs. Arizona ended up winning the division, right?
Right.
So you have Buster Posey for the rest of the year. If he's not blocking the plate and putting himself in harm's way, maybe you let up an extra run or 2 during the course of the year, but you're taking away about 50 RBIs that he could have had for maybe a run or 2, as far as him blocking the plate, when there are other techniques, blocking with your leg or swipe tag and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is, in particular positions, like even an NFL quarterback, like Jay Cutler, when he got hurt for the rest of the year, when he tackled that guy on the sideline, the Charger game, the Bears are one of the best teams in the league. Then he gets hurt, all right? Again, it's a fluky type of play and everything like that where he tried to make a tackle, but as soon as he went out, the Bears' season was over. And that's almost what happened to the Giants, kind of. Again, it wasn't as key a part, but you got to look at it from that perspective.
Well, the difference I would say in that is as far as football goes and the physicality is part of the game, quarterbacks trying to make tackles, I don't think I'll ever be on board with that because that doesn't make sense to me. Maybe an occasional block. Eli had a good block. I want to say it was against the Packers that set someone down the sideline. Or Roethlisberger does it all the time. But trying to make a tackle, if you're a quarterback, you're running down and maybe you try and push him out of bounds or you hold him up in some way to other guys catch up. That's a little bit different.
If it's a really important game situation, yes, I understand.
But the catcher's job is to protect the plate, and they know this when they start playing catcher, whatever age they start playing it at. And in the rehab, he was given the opportunity to say, look, do you want to play first base? Do you want to play outfield? Do you want to go back to another position? And originally his thought was, I think I might. And in a recent interview, he's actually stated, you know what? I want to be back behind the plate.
Yeah.
And if they need to spell me every now and again to play first base or the outfield or whatever to get me a few extra bats, I got no problem with that. But his desire is to be the catcher. You know why? Because he's a gamer.
Sure.
And he wants to win. And he knows that team is better off with him behind the plate, not just for protecting the plate, but for calling the right pitches and having the cohesion with the pitchers, Lincecum and the rest of them.
No doubt.
And Bumgarner, and we'll talk about him when we talk about fantasy baseball. But I just think that there's a point we've reached in sports where trying to offset the injuries by changing the way you play will, in my opinion, result in more injuries, because when you hesitate and you try and play too cautious, that's when more injuries happen.
Nice.
And they happen in really bizarre ways even beyond that. This was just a fluky play. It happened. Like you said, they lost him for a big part of the year.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
But that said, I think that a mandate for him to not block the plate, in my opinion, is crazy.
Well, and that's exactly what it is. It is a mandate because Bruce Bochy took the option out of his hands and legs and body altogether. If Buster Posey listens to his manager, and there's no reason why he won't be blocking anybody at the plate this year at all. So it's not his decision. It's taken out of his hands completely.
Well, I think there is one reason he wouldn't listen to Bochy, and that's because he's going to listen to what makes a lot of sense, which is you and me.
Yeah, of course, right.
Buster, if you're listening to us, block the plate.
Yeah, go block the plate.
Do your thing.
Go risk your life. Go block the plate.
Yeah, I don't think he's risking his life, but block the plate.
You mentioned fantasy baseball. We're not going to get into it too much now, but we're both in leagues. We're in leagues together, and we love it. We're fantasy crazy, football, baseball, everything, and we're definitely going to be breaking down our top 20 to start out. We'll get into our top 100, best pitchers, best catchers, everything like that. We're not doing it today, but as the season approaches and as your fantasy drafts come up in about the third week of March, this is where you want to be to get all your information. No doubt about it. We know what we're talking about. I'm a former champion, you're a former champion, and I'm a future champion as well. This is where you want to be.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
I mean, unfortunately, he's in the league with me this year, so he's not going to be able to be, a champion again. It's too bad. But second place is nice. You'll finish there nicely.
Yeah, second place is the first place loser.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see how good you are in your predictions. It's coming up where Peyton Manning is going to have to make his decision, and I don't think it's going to be Indy. I don't think you think it's going to be Indy either, where he's going to end up. We're going to make a little wager on it. Not yet. The stakes have yet to be determined, but I want to get it on paper right now because any day now this can be a decision where Irsay releases him, trades him, whatever it's going to be. Where do you think he's going to go?
Well, we'll say preclude that conversation. I just want to say this about we've been talking about this now for weeks, and it's been out there for months. And as it really goes, Peyton does have a contract with the Colts to play for them. So the fact that they haven't actually had this conversation and that Peyton is still in this state of limbo, I find to be utterly ridiculous and reprehensible on Jim Irsay that he hasn't just nipped this in the bud and moved on. It's like he's tippy-toeing around it, like waiting for that March 8th date to hit.
Yeah.
You know what? I think Peyton Manning is owed a little more respect and courtesy than that. Let's get the show on the road already and let this. Tell him he's going to be part of the team. Or part ways and move on with it.
Yeah. It's hard to figure what's going on there. We don't know. We're not inside. We're inside every other locker room in the world, but not the Colts locker room. We can't get in there.
But as far as my prediction goes, I'm not going to back down. I mean, I know recent speculation has him going to the Jets, which still would never make sense to me. My prediction is the Cardinals.
You've been with that for a while.
I say he's going to Arizona. I just think it makes a lot of sense given that team is still a pretty good, formidable team. Their defense is pretty good. And again, when you got a guy like Larry Fitzgerald, you got Early Doucette, you got pieces there, you got a good coaching staff. I don't know where they drafted in the middle of the first round or something like that.
Yeah, they finished unique. They finished kind of strong actually.
I think you can see, and I don't want to. I wish this comes out correctly. I want it to be more Warner part due, but I think it's fair to say that Peyton Manning's a better quarterback or is than Kurt Warner, but I just think it makes a lot of sense in Arizona.
It does. It does make a lot of sense. Again, I've said that it's going to have to be a really as close to a perfect fit as you can get, where he is given the ability to run the offense and basically be the offensive coordinator. So that's why I rule out Washington. I don't think he's going to go to the Jets because of Rex Ryan, and not because of him in particular, but the loudmouth organization that they are. I don't see him over there. Arizona's a great call. I can see him going there. They're not my first choice. They're my second choice. My third choice is actually Miami. I know a lot of people think he's going to be going to the Dolphins, but I've said very, very sneaky that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to go after him and get him and sign him and give him a whole chunk of money.
I have a feeling you're going to go there.
It's the Chiefs. And again, there's a lot of reasons why. One specifically is that Romeo Crennel is now their head coach. He's a defensive-minded coach. There's no Todd Haley there anymore. There's nobody really to step in Peyton's way as far as being the offensive coordinator and running that team from an offensive point of view. It's a weak division. It can be easily won, and I think he can prolong his career. The one negative thing going against it is that it is cold weather. It's not a dome. So that is one problem I see with it, but look, it's not like Peyton Manning can't play outside. They got a good running game. They have a pretty good defense, one of the best young safeties in the game in Eric Berry. Dwayne Bowe to throw the ball to. I think the pieces are there, and I think that Kansas City is going to be a sneaky team to come in and sign him. That's what I really think. That's my guy. Those are my guys.
I mean, Yeah,
do you think it makes sense for him to go there? Can you see that?
I think it makes sense. They got this guy coming back, Moyaki, tight end, who will be back. He's not Dallas Clark.
They've lost Jamal Charles all year.
They have Bo. They have Breston. They have McCluster. They have Jamal Charles will be back. I mean, they certainly have pieces also.
No doubt.
I don't know how much money Matt Castle is owed, and if they're still invested in him, so to speak.
And that's kind of the thing though with the Cardinals though also, you know, they signed Cobb to a lot of money. But not that he compares.
I think it's fair to say Matt Castle has done more in this league than Kevin Cobb has, and Kevin Cobb, quite frankly, has been a letdown.
But finances become an issue at some point. You know, can we sign this guy? Can we get rid of that guy? How much they owe Cobb a lot of money.
Well, we'll keep this in mind too, though. Manning has come out and said, aside from the $28 million he's owed from the Colts, because that was written in the contract, and you're supposed to abide by the contract, Mr. Irsay.
Right.
But he said for other teams he would do an incentive-laden contract.
He did.
He'll sign for a very small amount and have the incentives, meaning and bonuses upon his production, meaning his health. And I think that, first of all, that's more than fair by Peyton. I mean, Peyton's such a good dude for even saying that, because in the day and age we live in, that's so rare.
Right. At this point in his career, I don't think he's playing for the money. He's got enough of it already. I'm sure he wants to go out there and win and prove his critics wrong that he can't do it anymore. I'm sure that's pretty much what's on his mind. It's not a financial thing for him. It will be for other teams.
And look, I'll be the first one to tell you, I mean, for anyone who thinks this guy can't do it anymore, they're just crazy, in my opinion. This guy can still do it.
No doubt.
He's got a few really good years left.
He's barely been hit his whole career. I know he's got the head injury and everything, but now it's more of an arm.
And before all of this mess, he was the Iron Man after Favre was the Iron Man. And if I remember correctly, at the age of 40, Favre had probably his best year ever with the Vikings.
Sure
so to think that this guy, he's at 35 or 36 years old, won't be able to have another good 3 or 4 years solid, so long as the health comes back, which apparently polling came out recently and said throws 20 to 25 yards were more than accurate. I think Peyton's going to be fine.
So
I think I'm going to laugh at the Colts when they're going back to the days of the 90s and the 80s when they were just an afterthought.
Yeah, that's right.
It's going to be their loss. It's going to be their loss.
Well, we'll see. Maybe they'll get lucky, and Andrew will be all right. You know, come the future. We'll see. I think they're making the right decision by releasing Peyton, to be honest with you, because you got to move forward with the future. The Colts are not a Super Bowl team right now, even with Peyton, in my opinion. So start over.
Let me ask you one question with that, though. What are the chances, given Peyton's rank in history as a top 10 quarterback or wherever he ranks in there, what are the chances that Andrew Luck ever gets to that level?
I mean, it's a great point, but the chances are very, very slim that he ever gets to that point. You're right.
Is it the right move to take him? Probably, but what are the chances he's ever Peyton Manning?
Very slim, but those are things you got to take a chance, because they're talking about him being the next Peyton Manning, the next John Elway, and they don't talk about when these experts nail somebody down. For the most part, they really do get it, like a #1 guy. You know, it's not like everybody in the world was saying Alex Smith is going to be a #1 overall pick and he's going to be the man. A lot of people said Aaron Rodgers should have been drafted ahead of him.
I'll tell you who they nailed it with. They nailed it with Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, yeah, Tom Brady.
They nailed Tom Brady in the 6th round.
Yeah, they nailed that one.
I mean, as far as calling these guys experts, I'm not even going to go as far as to say that. I don't know. But is Andrew Luck going to be a good NFL quarterback? In my mind, there's not a doubt. I think it's hard to believe that he'd ever get to a level like Peyton Manning's gotten to.
I hear you. Look, it's definitely stacked against him, but financially and moving forward, it's the right thing for the Colts to do. So we'll see. You got the Cardinals, I got the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Just for the record, since you like to throw out these little, your honorable mentions and stuff like that, I'll take Miami for an honorable mention, all right? No, you don't get one. You've had 2
Wait a
minutes.
second. You think this is fair that I can make honorable mentions?
Well, yes.
And you berate me for it?
Well, you made 12 last show. You made like 12 honorable mentions. I have one, given the entirety of our progress.
I don't recall it being 12.
But it was about 12, 13. All right? Now you made me bite my tongue again. I haven't eaten for 2 days, so my tongue.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give an honorable mention to the Jets.
You don't get one.
Because I want to please all the Jet fans out there, because I am a stout Giants fan. I'm actually not going to give the honorable mention to the Jets at all. I actually just wanted to see the Jets.
I don't think he's going to the Jets.
I don't think he's going there either.
We'll see. He could go to Miami, but like I say, time will tell. The wager will be on next show. For now, we're out of here.
All right.
See you guys later.